Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan solo this week. Just want to congratulate Cass. Finished up his first season of coaching. Team went 6-2, and in his final game, his defensive line they got 6 sacks, and he told everyone he told everyone basically going into the season if they got 5 or more sacks in a game, he would let them dump water on them. They celebrated, but shout out Cass. He'll be back next week. Also, a shout out Blake for covering for us last week. Me and Cass were actually sick. Obviously, the video I posted was kind of a joke, poking fun at like the Illinois claiming Ohio State ducked us in 2020, but we actually were sick. Blake did a great job, so thank you, Blake. Um, but this episode, we're just going to recap a little bit of the Illinois game and preview Wisconsin. Short episode, nothing crazy this week. So let's get into it. Ohio State, they take down Illinois, and it was just, I feel like the defense was just the story of the game. Caden Curry, Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese is a monster, man. Um, the funny thing I saw was Arvell Reese is just a name because it's Jeremiah Smith just playing defense because he's a freak, dude. He is an absolute monster. He's second on the team in sacks this year. He's a difference maker for sure. Um, our joke to C.J. Donaldson is Ricky Bobby. Bo Jackson's Cal Naughton Jr. It's shake and bake, baby. It feels like Bo Jackson's getting all the yards, doing all the work, and C.J. Donaldson's getting the glory, the touchdowns. But I'm beginning to really like the duo. I think the running game is coming along. You saw Bo Jackson have a couple catches out of the backfield, had a touchdown receiving. C.J. Donaldson 2 touchdowns on the ground. He's becoming the hammer. I'm liking the dynamic. Is it Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins? Absolutely not. But there's a lot to work with there, I feel like. To me, the biggest surprise is James Peoples is kind of feels like he's fallen out of the rotation, which is, I mean, he shows flashes at times, but other times he's running the wrong play and stuff. So Isaiah West has come along too. I think he's getting more touches. But right now, I'm happy with Bo Jackson, C.J. Donaldson. Bo Jackson's obviously your home run guy. C.J. Johnson's the hammer. All good there. Saying once again, I feel like he was just efficient. Doesn't really make mistakes, man. I mean, and I was very pleased, honestly, with the first drive. I know a lot of fans would have wanted the touchdown. I was happy with Ohio State getting the ball, driving successfully down the field, and then Ryan Day. Other times he would go for it. I think he realized it was a tough environment early game, 11 a.m. kickoff, Central Time, noon Eastern, but it was 11 a.m. in Champaign, and they kick the field goal, and they just take the points, and like that's all you need with this defense. This defense is so solid, dude. It's so good. They take the points, and it just put so much pressure on Illinois, and then basically Ohio State was in control that entire game. I was never concerned once. And the game felt like it could have been a letdown game. I'm not gonna lie. It felt like a that mid-October game where we're all screaming at our TVs, like, what's happening? Why are we down 7 at half or something like that? But no, it was just kind of business as usual. Um, and saying should be a Heisman front runner, I think. Um, I know Ohio State has officially endorsed him, and he's rising in everyone's rankings. I mean, I agree with this. Saying should be a Heisman front runner. I also think Caleb Downs should be a Heisman front runner, just because if Ohio State has the best defense in college football, who's the best player in the defense? It's number two. It's not even debatable. And he had a couple good plays, had a couple good tackle for losses. He's always making plays, Caleb. Just turn on the film. But he doesn't have like the crazy stats, but it was a really good game. Very pleased with the outcome. I think Illinois is a dang good football team too. I got to credit them. They broke the double digit mark on Ohio State's defense. Yes, some of it was garbage time. but I think that's a really good football team Brett Bielema has. Um, they shouldn't hang their hat on that performance. Um, and they're just a really, really solid football team this year. Are they probably going to make the playoff? Probably not. I always thought that they weren't going to make the playoff. Cass, I remember, was big on them making the playoff and beating Ohio State this year. I just never saw it. I just think the talent gap is too far. But Altmaier, Beatty, I think they all played pretty well given the circumstances. It's once again they were going up against the top team in the nation. Um, but I feel like they did a good job, and I just want to say, if you're an Illinois fan, nothing to be ashamed of. Don't hang your hats. So the Buckeye leaves this week. I'm gonna hand them out. Um, One, we're giving one to C.J. Donaldson. Um, he's just a hammer, like I said. Scored 2 touchdowns, 44 yards on the ground. I'm really, really beginning to like him again. Not that I never liked C.J. Donaldson, but it was getting frustrating early on in the season when we didn't know where the run game was going, and we are like, "What's going on here?" But he's come along. He's earned his flowers. C.J. Donaldson gets a Buckeye leave. Arvell Reese um, is a physical force. He recorded 1.5, 1.5 sacks in this game. He's going to be a crazy first round pick for some team. Um, that's a no brainer. Sonny Styles is getting a Buckeye leaf. He led the team with 10 tackles, including 8 solo stops, and he was flying over the field, and he basically led the defensive effort that that faced 44 passing attempts from Luke Altmaier. So I thought Styles did a really good job. And finally, last Buckeye leaf, Davison Igbinosun. He was just shutting people down. He had 3 pass breakups, 2 tackles, but if you watch, he was every. I feel like every time they tried to take a deep shot, or you needed him to come up and make a physical tackle, he was there, man. I mean, he set the tone early. He could have, he could have gotten called for a PI or a holding, and could have changed the game, honestly, in some portions, but he was locked down, absolutely locked down. It's great watching him just elevate as a former DB. I'm just like, he's elevated. He's kind of scary, to be honest. But I just want him, continue to work on his technique. But he's doing a really good job. A lot of stuff to be excited about there. So those are my Buckeye Leafs. And yes, we did go defense this week. But it's our call. Let us live. Um, before we get into Wisconsin, I do want to say this week, if you follow us on Twitter, we're going down to I'm going down to North Carolina to visit some family. But we have the opportunity today, which we're very excited about. We will be attending Duke versus Georgia Tech. Um, and it's going to be at Duke, which that's a kind of a crazy, random football stadium to go to for the first time. But it's undefeated Georgia Tech. I believe they're 12th in the nation. I believe they're 12th. I have them higher in my rankings. I actually think I put them top. I think I put them 5 or 6 in mine. I think they're a very good team. Haynes King is a dog. Um, Georgia Tech though comes into Duke, and Duke is actually pre- like the metrics are predicting Duke to win. And Duke's a good team. They have Manny Diaz. They're 4-2. Um, they're predicting Duke for the upset. So we'll see what happens. Could be an awesome day. But if you're on following us on Twitter and you're wondering like why I'm posting some Duke Georgia Tech stuff, it's just our random road trip we're doing. It can't all be it's if it's all Ohio State content all the time, it gets a little stale. It's look, this week they're going to Wisconsin, and this is where I kind of segue. It's gonna be a snoozer, I think. Um, and it's sad because Wisconsin, they've fallen, and I would have never have guessed this when Luke Fickell took over. It's they have 2 wins. they're fighting for bowl eligibility. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. They just got absolutely shut out by Iowa. Michigan handled them. I'll say that they handled them in the matchup 2 weeks ago, 24-10. Iowa just mollywopped them. It wasn't. I mean, it was bad. It was, I believe, 37 nothing. When Iowa puts up 37 points on you, ugh, it's bad. Wisconsin, they have a quarterback controversy too because they have Hunter Simmons is the projected starter, but they have not made anything official yet. It could be Danny O'Neal. Simmons has gotten the start the past two times, um, but no one sold on Simmons. Last week, he had a QBR of 0.8. He didn't even get like a full point. So, like, if you put that in perspective, you could literally throw the ball into the dirt every time, and you'd have a QBR of 0.0. It's not good. It's not good in Wisconsin. There's a couple storylines though that I'm excited for. One, Luke Fickell coaching against Ohio State. That's always cool. I know this isn't the first time he's done it, but it's always cool to see Fickell coaching against Ohio State. Potential defensive coordinator of the future. It depends, well, obviously, what would happen with Matt Patricia at the end of the season, and if Wisconsin moves on from Fickell. But I'm sure Fickell could find a home back at Ohio State, no problem. I think a lot of people would have no problem with that. And it's sad. I feel bad for Wisconsin and Fickell because it has fallen off the rails. He did a great job in Cincinnati, got him into the playoff. Now they're kind of all over the place. Wisconsin, it's not good. Um, they run the air raid offense, but they call it the dairy raid. But they, like I said, they don't really have a quarterback. They have no true really identity on offense. Like I feel like a standard Wisconsin team um, of the past would have a great running back. Dylan Jones is their starting running back, and they also play Darian Dupree. Um, Dylan Jones has 286 yards and two rushing touchdowns on the year. Darian Dupree has 169 rushing yards and zero touchdowns. Like Bo Jackson, CJ Donaldson, and James Peoples, all I'm pretty sure have maybe not Peoples. I think Peoples is might be below um, Wisconsin starter in rushing yards, but he's pretty close. So they really just don't have an identity on offense. That's what's kind of crazy about this Wisconsin team. Like I said, they're the air raid, the dairy raid. They have okay receivers. Um, their best receiver, Vince Anthony, he has 274 yards and a touchdown in the season. Their tight end, Lance Mason, isn't terrible. He's like your standard Wisconsin tight end, 18 catches, 236 yards. Um, but back to what I was saying, my other storyline is just the Jaden Ballard revenge game. Jaden Ballard, former Ohio State receiver, obviously didn't play a ton. He transfers to Wisconsin. He's actually their third leading receiver this year. Um, 7 catches, 150 yards, two touchdowns. He's their big play guy. He's technically not listed as a starter on the depth chart, but he could, they're gonna take a shot or two with him. I wouldn't be shocked if they try to get him involved just because the nature of this game. They're gonna need him. They're gonna need him, man. Um, on defense, Wisconsin, they have a good run defense. The run defense is pretty solid for the most part. I believe they're up there in the nation. They are 19th in the country, 97.5 rushing yards, and Tackett Curtis and Christian Allegro are the other linebackers are the two probably best players. Um, but Ohio State's strength isn't running the ball. So if Wisconsin's strength is their run defense and Ohio's strength is not running the ball, like Ohio State is, the run game's gotten better. Like I said against Illinois, I was very happy, but it's not their strength right now. Could Ohio State run the ball down Wisconsin throughout this game? They possibly could and just send a message. But when you look at Wisconsin's secondary, not great. Um, I just think saying in Jeremiah Smith and Brandon Innes and Carnell Tate and Max Clare, they're gonna eat these poor guys alive again. It's gonna be more of the same. I would expect maybe Innes to get involved, maybe get his first touchdown of the year. I think he's due. I can see him being part of the game plan, but if you go back and watch the game against Michigan, Bryce Underwood had his best passing day. We've never seen a freshman like this before, but um, he had 270 yards passing against Wisconsin, and the one passing touchdown he had, it came off of it came basically because poor tackling in the secondary. It allowed Donovan McCulley from Michigan to score a touchdown. And he finished the day with 6 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. And Michigan still, like I said, like Ohio State couldn't come out and run the ball. I'm sure if they wanted to against Wisconsin, because yes, Wisconsin has good run defense, but Michigan, Justice Haynes had 19 carries for 117 yards, 6.2 yards a clip. I'm sure Ohio State's offensive line can get a push. I'm sure Bo Jackson will continue to play well. I'm sure CJ Donaldson can hammer it home. But this one, I mean, I think it's going to get ugly, unfortunately. It's a 3:30 game on CBS. I feel like that's a good spot for Ohio State. You're not waking up super early. You don't got Camp Randall. You have to play at Camp Randall at night. It's the 3:30 game. Yeah, jump around and all that's going to be electric. But it's I just I don't see a way Wisconsin wins this game. A lot of would have to happen. Whoever they start at quarterback would have to play the best game of their career. And neither guy can do. I mean, they just Wisconsin just has, I hate to say it, just a bunch of guys. They're just a bunch of guys. They don't have a star. Um, and they don't have an identity. And it's sad. It's sad to see. So Cass gave me his prediction. I'll read you it. He said 42-6, um, Wisconsin. I'm gonna go 35 nothing Ohio State. I don't see unless there's a turnover in the red zone. Not in the red zone. If there's a turnover in Ohio State's like end of the field, like I'm saying, like Wisconsin punts the ball, like they pin us in the 5, and then like our running back fumbles or saying throws a pick. I just don't see, I don't see them putting up the offense is atrocious. I don't see them scoring at all on the nation's top defense unless it's related to like a field position issue. Um, Ohio State, yeah, maybe Wisconsin gets something on special teams like a punt return, or Ohio State just like the punting game isn't good for Ohio State. Um, but I just don't like outside of that, I don't see Wisconsin getting on the board. I just don't. It would have to be something like catastrophic or fluky. I don't see that offense driving, 80, 70, 60, 50 yards. Even they got the ball at midfield. I don't see them driving. Um, so I think this is going to be ugly. It's going to be a snoozer. It's a nice bye week. It's a de facto bye week. Um, yeah, Ohio State, they have Penn State the week after or whatever. Well, they have the bye, I believe, and then it's Penn State. But I don't think the Buckeyes are looking ahead. I really don't. I thought the letdown game would have been Illinois if there would have been one. Um, but what they just did to Illinois, I have no concerns on Wisconsin. If you're going to this game this weekend, have fun. Um, drink some Spotted Cow if you're there. But yeah, I think it's just going to be a nice, easy afternoon if you're a Buckeye fan. And the question is, what do they do with Luke Fickell, Wisconsin? They're gonna have to make a decision. Um, because I just don't see an identity. Like I said, I just don't see them having an identity right now. And they need to figure it out. They need to figure it out. But um, that's all I got on Wisconsin. I did want to touch upon the Penn State, the Penn State stuff too. Obviously, the shocking news, not shocking, but it was James Franklin got fired, and I don't feel bad for James Franklin. I want to make that clear. I don't feel bad. He's gonna get a huge buyout. Yeah, he has to like look for a job, and there's that weird loophole, but he's fine. It I do feel bad for his family. He's a good man, James Franklin. No one's denying that. He's a good guy. Um, but it just seemed Penn State had to make a change. It is I feel like a little reactionary. I think they should have let him just finish out the season and then make the change. But the loss to Northwestern was shocking. That was shocking to me. I thought, you know, maybe they bottom out after the UCLA game and then go on a little run. Maybe they beat Ohio State and just, go 10-2 and make the playoffs somehow. There was a chance, but it's over. And now Penn State, they are on a slippery slope. I'm curious who they're gonna bring in. I am going down though, like I said, to go see the Duke game. Is it gonna be Manny Diaz? Is it gonna be Matt Rule? I think it's gonna be one of those two guys. Um, but we'll either Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. That's also a rumor. All three, I think, are good candidates. But are they going to improve from what they had with James Franklin? And James Franklin, you probably wouldn't win a national championship with him. But for what Penn State was, they were a great program. They weren't 1A, but they were 1B, 1C on the ladder. They were right there. They were a play away from going to the national championship last year. So it's crazy. Football is a what have you done for me lately sport. And lately, James Franklin, he lost three in a row. I mean, that was it 3 weeks ago. Um, Penn State was gearing up to play Oregon. They beat Oregon. It's a completely different story. I do also think, you know, Drew Aller's not that good. He wasn't that. I feel like Drew Aller did not elevate at all. I saw him play 2 years ago in 2023 when Ohio State and Penn State played at the shoe, and I mean, his accuracy was just not good. I've seen other like random Big Ten quarterbacks like Altmaier or Minnesota's quarterback a couple weeks ago. They all seem more accurate, and I don't know what it is with Aller. Is it nerves? I don't know. Um, but just a highly disappointing season for Penn State. I do feel for the fans. Um, I don't like obviously Michigan, but I don't mind Penn State. I think their fan base is great. Um, I don't feel like I said, I don't feel bad for James Franklin because he's getting money, he's getting a buyout. But from a human perspective, I feel bad for him. Like he's gonna have to move. He's been there for so long. It's an ego thing. Um, but he has done stuff the right way. I'll credit James Franklin. He's done stuff the right way. He is a very good person. Yes, he gets into it with fans because he's passionate, but he's also. I mean, there was a clip of him going from um, what was it? Um, Olu Fashunu's the tackle who got drafted by the Jets draft party. He drove an hour to get to Chop Robinson's, and just like all accounts, he was a good guy, well liked. And you hate to see something happen like that to a good person. But like I said, he's a rich man, so he's gonna be fine. If my life, the biggest problem in my life was, oh, I got fired from coaching, a Power Five football program. I think a lot of us would take that problem. It's not an actual problem. It's something that will solve itself. He'll probably go to like Virginia Tech or another, decent Power Five job. I mean, a lot of people are still a lot of schools are still gonna want to hire him. He's a great coach. He builds programs. He's been successful. Um, I mean, if Clark Lee from Vanderbilt goes somewhere, I could see them just going after James Franklin. So um, we'll see what happens this weekend. It's gonna be a great weekend of college football like usual. It's crazy. We're like over halfway done with the season. And it's kind of depressing. Um, I feel like it just got here. I feel like week 0 was a couple weeks ago. But that's all I got. Everyone have a great weekend. And just, tune into Silver Bulletin, um, read Cass's articles, share Blake's stuff. Thank you so much, everyone. Go Bucks.